The Poor Driver. In the small city of Enugu, there lived a man called Obi. He was a simple bus driver, not rich, not educated much, but very hardworking. Every morning, before the first cock crowed, Obi would wake up. He washed his face quickly, said a short prayer, and walked to the bus park. His old bus waited for him there, shaking like an old man with fever. The bus made noise whenever he started it, but that was his only source of income. He would shout loudly at the park. Passengers pushed and argued as usual. Some even insulted him. Still, Obi smiled. He knew people were just stressed. Everyone was trying to survive. After the day's work, Obi would count the money he made. But almost all of it went to his uncle, who owned the bus. What remained was hardly enough to buy food for his wife Amaka and their 2 small children. At night, when the children slept, Amaka sometimes cried. She would look at Obi and ask,
"How long are we going to live like this? Look at your hands full of grease every day."
My wife, don't worry. It go better. God day.
But deep inside, Obi was tired. He wanted more, not just money, but a better life for his family. Still, every morning, he wore his dusty shoes, grabbed his steering, and drove out again. He believed that as long as he kept moving, one day, life would smile at him. That was Obi, a poor driver with a strong heart and quiet hope. The strange old man. That day was hotter than usual. The sun in Enugu was burning like fire, and Obi had already done 3 trips without resting. His shirt was soaked with sweat, and the steering wheel was almost too hot to touch. Still, he kept driving because he needed every naira he could make. Around midday, as he was climbing Obi Road, the old bus started making strange noises. Taka, taka, taka! It coughed and then stopped completely. Smoke came out from under the bonnet. Passengers began to shout immediately.
"Driver, you know they check your engine? That is why I don't like old bus people."
Some people came down, angry and fanning themselves. They waved their hands and walked away, leaving Obi alone with the bus. He felt ashamed. As he opened the bonnet, he heard a calm voice behind him. It was one old man sitting quietly inside the bus. He wore a clean white kaftan and held a walking stick. His face was peaceful, like someone who had seen many things in life.
Papa, please no vex. The bus spoiled again. I will fix it soon.
The old man just smiled and said,
"Young man, I have been watching you since morning. You are a good person. Even when people insult you, you still smile."
Obi looked surprised. "Papa, you know me?" The man nodded slowly. "I don't need to know your name to see your heart." Then, from his pocket, the old man brought out a small brown envelope. He stretched it toward Obi and said, "Take this. Use it well. Your story will change soon." Obi was confused. "Papa, what is inside?" But the man only smiled again and said, "When the time comes, you will understand." Before Obi could ask another question, the man stood up and walked away. He didn't even look back. By the time Obi finished fixing the bus and turned around, the old man had disappeared. That night, as Obi drove home, the envelope was still in his pocket. He kept touching it again and again, wondering who that old man really was. He didn't know it yet, but his life was about to change forever. That night, Obi could not sleep. He sat on his small wooden chair in their one-room house, holding the brown envelope. The room was quiet except for the sound of his children breathing softly on their small mat. The kerosene lamp on the table gave a weak yellow light. Amaka looked at him and asked,
"Obi, what are you holding like that? You never sleep."
It's from one old man. He gave me this when my bus broke down today. He said my story would change.
"Old man. Are you sure it's not a charm?"
Obi laughed a little. "No, the man looked like someone sent by God. Let's see what's inside." He opened the envelope slowly. Inside was some money, not too much, but enough to do something meaningful. There was also a small folded paper. He opened it and read the words. "Start what you believe in. The road will open." Obi read it again and again. He sat quietly for a long time, thinking deeply. He had always dreamed of owning his own small transport business buses that were neat, drivers that were kind, and passengers that were treated well. That night, he made up his mind. He would no longer live under his uncle's control. He would use this money to repair the old bus and make it his own. The next morning, Obi went to a mechanic. He spent all the money repairing the bus, new tires, fresh paint, and even new seats. When it was done, the bus looked like a brand new one. He painted the name boldly on the side. Obi Express. God no go shame us. When Amaka saw the bus, her eyes filled with tears. Obi, this looks beautiful. Are you sure you can do this? Obi smiled. I believe I can. That's what the paper said, start what you believe in. And that was how Obi took the biggest step of his life. It was risky. It was scary. But deep inside, he felt a new kind of peace, the kind that comes when a man finally decides to follow his dream. The next day, Obi started work with his newly repaired bus. It looked bright under the morning sun, with Obi Express. God no go shame us, written boldly on the side. People at the park were surprised. One driver said, Obi, now your old bus be this? You done turned big man oh. Obi laughed. No big man yet. I just want to do things better. He cleaned the bus every morning and greeted every passenger politely. He never shouted, never argued over change, and always played soft gospel music as he drove. People began to notice the difference. Some passengers even waited just to enter his bus. They said, that Obi Express man drove we. Well, him no day rush like others. Obi treated everyone with respect, old women, school children, even the stubborn traders. He made sure his bus was always neat, and he never overcharged anyone. Slowly, more people started trusting him. Within a few months, Obi began saving small money from his profit. He kept every extra naira in a small metal box under his bed. When the box became full, he used the money to buy another bus, this time a fairly used one. He employed one young man from his street and taught him how to treat passengers kindly. Soon, Obi Express had 3 buses moving around the city. Everyone began to talk about the young driver who was changing how transport business should be done. Even his uncle, who once looked down on him, came to visit. He said,
Obi, you have done well. I never believed you could go this far.
Obi smiled humbly.
No God work, uncle. I just follow the road he shows me.
That night, Obi sat outside his house, watching the stars. He thought about how far he had come from a struggling driver with nothing to a man building his own company. He didn't know what the future held, but one thing was sure. His change had truly began. 3 years passed like a dream. Obi Express has now grown big in Enugu. Obi had 10 buses running different routes from Ogwi to New Market, from Abakba to Coal Camp. He wore clean shirts, spoke gently, and treated his workers like brothers. He never forgot where he came from. Every month, he gave free rides to school children and helped other drivers repair their broken buses. People called him Obi the Good Driver, and even radio stations started talking about him. One Sunday morning, Obi received an invitation. It was from the local youth association. They wanted him to speak to young people about hard work and success. On the day of the event, Obi stood before a large crowd. He wore a fine blue suit, but his heart was humble. He looked around and said,
My brothers and sisters, I used to drive a broken bus that stopped on the road almost every day. But I never gave up. I treated people well even when I was poor. Work hard, be honest, and never lose hope because you don't know who is watching you.
The crowd clapped and shouted, God bless you, Obi. Then, something strange happened. From the back of the hall, Obi saw a familiar face, an old man in a white kaftan, holding a walking stick. He was smiling, just like before. Obi's heart jumped. He wanted to go and greet him. But before he could reach the spot, the old man had disappeared again. Only his chair remained, empty. Obi stood there quietly, tears in his eyes. He whispered to himself, some blessings come in human form. That old man was not just anybody. He was sent by God. From that day, Obi made it his mission to help others. He started training young drivers, giving them good buses to drive, and teaching them honesty. And whenever people asked him how he became rich, he would just smile and say, It all started the day a kind stranger gave me an envelope and said, Your story will change. Moral of the story. Be kind to people, no matter how small you are. Work hard, stay humble, and never lose faith because one day, your own story will change too. The lesson of a lifetime. Many years passed, and Obi was no longer the young man who once shouted at the bus park. He had become older, wiser, and richer, but still humble. His company, OBI Express, had grown beyond Enugu. His buses now traveled to Nsukka, Onitsha, and even Lagos. He built a big house for his family and opened a small training school for drivers. But every evening, Obi still liked to sit outside his compound on a wooden chair, watching the sunset. That was when he felt closest to his old life, the life that taught him patience, pain, and faith. One evening, his first son, Chika, came to him. "Papa," he said.
How did you really start all this? I hear people say you met a spirit.
All I know is that one old man gave me hope when I had nothing. But it wasn't the money that changed my life, it was the message, start what you believe in.
He looked up at the sky, his eyes gentle. "Chika, in this life, riches don't start with money. They start with belief, good character, and hard work. When your heart is clean, God will send help your way in human form." Chika nodded slowly, understanding his father's words. That night, as Obi sat alone, a cool breeze blew across his face. He smiled again, remembering that old man in white. "Thank you," he whispered. "You were right. The road truly opened." The moon shone softly over his compound, and somewhere in the quiet of the night, Obi felt peace, the peace that comes to a man who lived right, gave back, and never forgot where he started. Final moral. True success is not only about money, it's about kindness, faith, and using your blessing to bless others.